All right. Good evening, everyone. It is good to be here again. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Give it a few minutes. You rolls on in, but it's nice to be here. It's another Friday night fellowship. Enjoyed last Friday night. I enjoy every Friday night. Used to enjoy the Saturday nights before we turn into Friday nights. So, good evening, brother Jorge. It's good to see your name up there today. Hmm. Start the day off with a drink of water right away. I hope everyone's doing okay out there. I know we won't see a couple people most likely, but that's okay. It's summertime. It's busy. People doing things with family. Maybe they're working on that garden. I don't know. Maybe they're reading the Bible, which would be awesome. We'll see how things go. But listen, I don't want to take too much of your time now on a Friday night. I know tomorrow's Saturday. You want to wake up early because if you're in the South, you need to wake up early because it's going to just be real hot by the time it gets 10 o'clock. But I was spurred on by a couple of things. I've been talking a lot lately about how Christians are handling things and how born again Christians are approaching life and different people. I have my glasses on. Hello, Mr. Bryson Bishop. Good evening, brother. How are you? I don't think I know you, but it's I don't think I've seen you here before. But thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. But I want to talk a little bit about tonight, and I'll share a couple of verses this evening, and the rest of you could throw in whatever you want. Remember, this is we the people of the born again Christian family. That's what we like to do here. Um, but I see a lot more, and I've talked about this in the last couple of weeks. Good evening, Prov Gal. I just hit the button. Good evening, Prov Gal. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to hit that. Went to hover over it, and I hit the button. Just a lot of strifes, just a lot of anger out there today. There's a lot of attacking going on. Man, it's getting pretty ugly. And I'm talking about those who are Christians or profess to be Christians. Not everyone you can judge to be a Christian or not, but some I think you can. I think it's pretty obvious who are the false converts sometimes. But then again, hey, someone can accuse me of being a false convert too. I guess that's why you got the liberty, don't you, to do so. But I'm getting more and more bothered and disturbed by the trend, and it's been happening a lot. And I hadn't noticed it a lot like a year ago. I don't watch a lot of YouTube. I'll catch a few things here and there, but I'm more intent on doing my own work and my own studies and putting together whatever I'm doing for research. But what I am seeing lately, that I've had a little more time to stare at the YouTube, yikes, is anger. There's a lot of people, and they'll call it discussion, and they'll just be just anger going back and forth. And I'm seeing rebuke, of course, because everybody loves to do that. But I'm seeing no exhortation, and that's what bothers me the most. Is we're not seeing Christians lifting up others. That's what I'm not seeing. Again, I'm not about the whole kumbaya moment, but we have to understand when love is important and how and when to use discernment of when to attack with different, lack of a better word, strategy. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a better word for it, but talking to everyone is not the same. It's just not when you're having a one-on-one conversation. So we have to know when we're witnessing who we're talking to. But normally, when you're talking to someone in person, you're out there, you can pretty much size them up. It's kind of like I used to teach people a long time ago, not only on the basketball court, but I was talking to some women at a retail store. And it says you have seconds to discern the moment you're in. You have to analyze that person in front of you, and you have to use whatever you see in front of you to create that conversation to possibly lead to where you're trying to get to. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen. I think I made a video a long time ago. I said, when you're walking up a sidewalk or someone's walkway and you see a Camaro in the driveway, what's the first thing you're going to be talking about when that guy opens the door? If it's the guy opening the door, you're talking about the Camaro immediately. Say, hey, that's a nice Camaro there. And then you don't have to spend an hour and a half on it, but you create that dialogue. I think too many people are either one, unsure of themselves or afraid to have the conversation, or they just want to go into attack mode immediately, which doesn't help your testimony whatsoever when you're going to full attack mode. So you have those moments to discern, but we're not seasoning our speech with salt, and that's kind of what the light topic is. I don't always stay on topic, and I let it go wherever it goes. But we're not seasoning our conversations, our speech. We're just attacking. We want someone else to be wrong, and we want to be right. And you have to remember, when is the time frame to have that conversation? In my opinion, I mean, I keep this as light as possible. We talk about different things because it's a fellowship. We're just talking. We're having conversation. When this isn't always the high level or roundtable discussion. I'm not trying to have a huge podcast moment here. I like to let the conversation go where it goes, but that's what it's supposed to be about, brothers and sisters. And you may agree on something, disagree on it, but doesn't mean we should disrespect one another and keep on hammering something home to someone if we don't want to. And that happens a lot, not just here, but in a lot of channels I see. Of course, I believe Colossians 4, chapter 4, verse 6, where we get this from, where we start this conversation off, and it reads in your King James Bible, "Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with salt, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man." There is no salt in our conversation sometimes. That's what's missing. You know, we can have, and yes, will I separate with somebody if the need to be? Yes. It doesn't mean we shun them the rest of our lives like the JWs do. We don't say, we will never ever talk to you ever again. We completely cut fellowship with you, and we don't care about you. We're not going to pray about you. We want nothing to do with you. To me, that's mind-boggling, because I want to see where the Bible says not only dust off your feet, but never hope or pray to yourself that possibly someone else could come along. And again, you could be the guy who drops the seed. You could be the girl who drops the seed. I'm going to get in trouble because I said girl. But you're going to get trouble. You could be the one who drops that seed to some guy at work. Lady, you're at the grocery store, wherever it may be. You drop the seed to another woman, a young woman, or maybe a woman your age, whatever it may be. You may not be the one who's watering, or you could be the one that's watering. We're so hyper-focused on getting some particular work done in a situation. Let God use you the way he's going to use you. That's all there is to that, I believe. Let's go to Proverbs. I think it's Proverbs 15, if you get the Bible in your King James Bible. I would like to see us be a little more mature and have a little more ability to be adults. And somebody go, "Oh no, you're just calling people names." That's not what I'm doing. But unfortunately, people act strange these days. Maybe I'm starting to become the old man and says kids ain't what they used to be. Maybe I'm getting there. Proverbs 15:1. Okay, I didn't have the verse written down. 15:1. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Excuse me. I'm coughing because I'm stirring up anger. No, let me have a sip of my water. But there we go. Why are we angry all the time? Why do we have to yell at people all the time? Yelling all the time is not going to get your message across. I mean, if you're a hellfire and brimstone type of Southern preacher from 1965, then yeah, that's how you get your message across. Well, we find it, well, I find a lot of people in a situation where they need to attack. They need to have some retort. They feel like they already have to be set up for a rebuttal. And I'm not sure everybody has this preparation in their brain that I'm about to be in a debate with someone. I'm confused at that. I mean, while the society is brainwashed, everything's an argument, everything's a debate. Everything doesn't have to be an argument. Everything doesn't have to be some sort of debate. A civil dialogue, a conversation. I do believe in most cases you're going to get further with somebody that way. It doesn't mean we should sugarcoat something and say, hey, listen, there are consequences to your actions. You will eventually burn in hell. Yeah, that conversation we had, but again, I don't know about throwing Deuteronomy on somebody before we even looked at John and Romans and any of the Gospels. It's not going to happen. I think too many people. I think sometimes people are hoping to do some sort of work, and again, work comes with being born again. It just you do things. It's just people. I think people in the OSAS and the free grace, and there's all these arguments, and I think what gets missing is free grace type once saved, always saved folks are very much bent on the fact that there are no works. We don't have to do any works. We don't have to do works. We don't have to do works to be saved. Okay, well, I think there's a misunderstanding, or in my opinion, miscommunication. Maybe you've read too much Hebrew. Maybe you're into too many lexicons. Maybe you're into too much different Greek spellings and trying to figure out, well, the Masoretic text, Textus Receptus, the majority text in the Byzantine, and you get all into this, and you lose something here. You've made something more complicated than it has to be. It simply is. It couldn't be any obvious. And I think I'm going to do, as I'm talking now, probably a video about it eventually. But I'm got the whole transcribing videos I'm doing right now. But anyways, when you're saved, works just come with it. It has nothing to do with trying to do a work, trying to do good works. Your good works just come. The whole point when you're saved. I do believe in a form of once saved, always saved. But I think there's some people who believe in a form of once saved, always saved. Forever, I can do whatever I want. I can commit any sin under the planet because some think they can be willfully sinning. And then we create categories. I think a lot of people in movements are into these categories where it's okay if we yell at people and scream at them because, man, I'm doing what God wants me to do, and this work will be tried in the fire. I don't think I think your anger actually will be tried. I think that's something you might want to be concerned about. And there is a difference between righteous anger and unrighteous anger. And unfortunately, I see less righteous anger than I do just carnal flesh, a fleshly approach to things and arguing about everything under the sun. Just for fun, let's read verse 2 of Proverbs 15. The tongue of the wise useth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out foolishness. Keep that in mind because people keep on doing this and they look like fools. They just are rambling. Well, okay, I ramble sometimes. They're arguing and complaining and just trying to get their point across, yelling and screaming and calling somebody stupid or this or that. I'm like, they literally look like fools. They look like fools. I don't know how else to put that because they do. I have no eloquent way of saying that they end up looking like fools when they pour out all this anger and frustration and trying to attack others. It's just it's an unfortunate situation. So their speech no longer, and they may have started wanting their speech to be seasoned with salt, but unfortunately they didn't get the result they want, so they now cannot speak with that anymore. They just have to put down, ridicule, argue, complain. You're a moron. You're stupid. There is no, and I'm going to repeat 100 times, there is no seasoning there. There's just none. I don't see it. And talk about the fruits, and there you go. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. Are you edifying anyone in your speech? Hey, maybe I'm not. Maybe I am. I feel like sometimes I am. Sometimes I'm not. But that's okay. But I'm going to still be here doing what I do. But we need to use a tone. If we're attacking people, and I'm not saying you have to go, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you're here this evening. I'm not saying you got to be that monotone and slow, and you don't have to scream. I get a little I'm French, so I guess I do a lot of hand movements. But we don't need to be crazy all the time. We can have a civil dialogue and conversation, but far too often, as I said before, the communication may start out well, and I think, and you could tell them pretty quick because their communications are disguised in a way that it doesn't take long before you figure out when they start that level. Tone starts going up. They might even start getting fidgety or a little, all these expressions like, all those kind of movements start to spell, uh-oh, this person's about to be angry at everybody for no reason. When people don't believe me when I say from the Bible that there is a eternal damnation, and when they say they can do whatever they want and they're going to heaven, doesn't matter if they kill your mama, it doesn't make me angry. It makes me sad because they learn that in either one of two places, church building or somebody on YouTube. And I know that I'm on YouTube, but we have to use discernment and be very careful of who we're listening to out there. Even myself, I've always said, don't listen to just me. Look around. There's other people out there doing a decent job. I still can't find that one guy that I was talking about a while back. I watched 2 videos of him a long time ago. He was really solid. I can't find him. But then again, that's how it is. He's not a big channel. He hasn't done what he had to do and make connections to get himself to a higher level. So you won't hear from him. I often say that about a lot of things in life. Is some of the godliest men you'll ever know in your life, that are out there in this world, you may never know because they're not out there. I may have talked about this a while back about one gentleman years ago up in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. An amazing godly man, just a phenomenal man. You would never know it. Not because he wasn't trying to share the word of God. He was a very unassuming man. He was just very nice. I don't know any way of saying it. It's just a nice guy. He was just he was always there for people and needed help. And when he died, a lot of people showed up. People showed up. I was surprised. But ironically, that also happened to another man in the same church, by the way, because I was going to church back then, in a church building. I was going to an Assemblies of God church back then. Same place. Another guy. Always doing things for people, always cutting the lawn. Helped a million people out as well. And always giving money to people and stuff like that. Always, jump starting people's cars, all type of things like that. And there was a decent turnout for him as well. But none of them were saved. The other man, all these men, they were godly people. You know godly people when you see them. You know born again Christian. You just know. You see them and you're like, yes. But then all these other people, and you just knew that they weren't saved. And I thought to myself, how does that happen? How does that one person who is very unassuming, quiet, very nice person, helps people. The other guy who's always out there, he's talking to people. He's always going out there. He's doing this and that. He's hanging out at the hardware store. He's down at the diner down in Ashby. I think it was Ashby. I don't know. I think there's a little Finnish market down there somewhere. But you don't know. You don't know. It reminds me of the fact I was at a coin store the other day, and I was talking to the gentleman there. He knows that I'm a Jesus weirdo, God biblical KJV guy. He knows that. I don't hide that. And so he knows that I'm a Christian. We've had a couple of conversations. We've talked about the little church next door in one of the little strip malls. Now, churches, some of these organizations have little churches in the strip malls. We talked about them and stuff like that. Well, my former boss, he's known for a long time, who's supposed to be a born again Christian and a Christian. I was talking about him, and when I told him, I says, I was disappointed in the way he acted because being a Christian. And he said, now, Brother Jorge, you might remember me saying this, I don't know. And he said, oh, I never knew he was a Christian. And when I see people arguing, yelling, screaming on these channels, each other, especially debate channels, even in the comments, attacking one another, and I think to myself the same thing that what would be the word, unchristian, non-Christian, whatever you want to call the coin dealer. What would I say? I'd probably say the same things he did. Oh, that guy's a Christian. We're judged by our words. So when we don't season our speech with salt, people judge us on that and say that you're a Christian. And that's when I feel like we have a lot of bad representation out there of what born again Christians look like. I'm not saying that one doesn't slip up and get angry every now and then, or something bothers us, because we are flesh. We're still human and we're not perfect, and we do sin. We make mistakes. And when I say we sin, I don't mean we go rob the bank tomorrow. You know what I mean? That's not what I mean. When you're saved, and that's why I think people who say they're saved and they don't have to do anything else again, I think they're false converts. I really do. I lean more towards that direction. But there has to be a change. And you change because of the works that you do, not because you want to do them or try to do them. They naturally flow from you. You just do, whatever it may be. There's nothing behind it. You're not hitting a checkbox. You're not saying, hey, I can do all these other sins because I'm saved. We yell at people. They're going to hell. They're going to hell. They're going to hell. And by the way, the large majority are going to hell. And by the way, the large majority of the Christians who call themselves Christians, professing Christians, they're going to hell as well. Unfortunately, what gives you the right? And that's another thing. Suddenly, you can't judge anyone. You can't tell anybody the truth anymore. You have to be nice all the time with no truth. You can be kind and have truth and be honest with people. They can take it for what it's worth. I may be messing up this next phrase, but I believe there's a phrase that goes something like, I don't know, you can catch more flies with honey or vinegar. Not vinegar. Vinegar seems awful. Honey? Is it vinegar or honey? I apologize for not getting that phrase right. But you can catch people with more love and a civil dialogue and engagement than you will screaming at someone all the time. Now, there are times you want to go to the gay pride parade. Actually, let's call it what it is, an abomination festival. And scream they're going to hell. Have at it. I'm not knocking you for it. You can say it all day long. I'm not saying, people, well, wait a minute. You just said we shouldn't be angry. I'm not saying, but don't do it with anger. Tell them you're screaming at them, you're going to hell. Tell them you love them enough to be here to warn them that they're going to hell. Maybe they'll come and talk to you. Maybe they'll and maybe pull aside and say, hey, listen, talk with me over here while he's doing what he's doing. Why? Tell me why you're angry at me for being here. Tell me why you're so mad at me. You want to see me dead right now. What is making you so angry? You might make some headway. I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm just saying you might. Discern the moment. Understand what you're using that moment. Some people are hard-headed. Some people you have to talk to a certain way. I'm not going to talk to I'll talk to somebody down the street differently than I might talk to somebody near a college university somewhere, because they're already been led to believe that they have some sort of intellectual superpowers, which is impossible because that's not a thing. Even if you do keep little superheroes in your house, which you shouldn't have, you should throw those straight into the trash, because that's witchcraft, that's sorcery. I don't know if anybody wants to throw anything else in here, but understanding, talking properly, having get rid of the evil communications that come out of our mouth. Evil communication isn't just about foul language. Evil communication, in my opinion, is about, anger, saying things in anger. Somebody will say, but Jesus was angry. He flipped over the tables. How often does everybody compare themselves to Jesus? We're supposed to be Christ-like. That is our example. But some people talk as if they're going to be Jesus. I'm going to be exactly like Jesus. Yeah, no, you're not. That's impossible right now. You're on planet Earth. You're on this nice little, beautiful little round marble globe in the universe. Wait a minute. Hold on. That statement might just made people upset because it's a round Earth, a glober, a flat Earth, blah, 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 blah. Some people will say your salvation is based on whether you believe in a round Earth or a flat Earth. I might lose subscribers. I'm less concerned. I will say I'm a round Earth or global Earth or whatever you want to call it. Remember, the modern day flat Earth arguments are all out of Jesuits, communists, utopian society. What is that guy's name? Samuel Rothbone. I forget his name, but he created the whole new thing we got going on with flat Earth. But that's a whole other conversation. If you're willing to tell people they're going to hell because they're a round earther or a flat earther, I'm not ready to cast people to hell for that. There are so many other things we could talk about that it's going to put you into eternal damnation. You're not even living the life you're supposed to anyways. You're not even following the book in other places. If you're not following, I think round earth, flat earth are the least of your problems if you can't even speak lovingly to your brothers and your sisters. If you can't even do that, I wouldn't worry about that right now. That is way over the horizon, my friend. That is not something you need to worry about right now. And I would focus right in front of you. That would be the most important part. Like, what do I say about the end times all the time? It doesn't matter about the end times. Somebody got mad at me because I said it doesn't matter if you're pre-trib or post-trib. It matters, yes. But my point in that conversation a long time ago was, if you're not even saved, if you're not even living the Word of God, if you're not in your Bible, if you're not striving to be the best possible Christian you can be, wait, that's works. If you're not studying this Bible to show thyself approved, I wouldn't worry about pre-trib, post-trib, because you're going to hell. You're still committing sins. You're still fornicating. You're doing all this. I wouldn't worry about post-trib, pre-trib, because you ain't going anywhere. You ain't going to make it. When it is time for you to go, you might not be going to the place you want to go. Or the place you thought you'd be. I want to focus on that. We get lost in these things. And listen, I'm studying Greek. I like Greek. I think it's cool. I think it's neat. I'm not learning Greek because I think I must know Greek. It's okay. And people say, oh, you don't need to know Greek. You don't need to know Greek, and you don't need to know Hebrew to know the Bible. Agreed. I'm actually in pretty much 99% agreement with that. But why would you, dismay people from wanting to learn it? It's okay to learn it. I've always wanted to know French, Spanish, Greek, and sign language. I know a tiny bit of everything now. I have immense knowledge of almost nothing of each category. But I enjoy it. It's fun. But I don't think I need it. Just something I like to do. Words already preserved right here, which you can see in the videos I've been making. The King at 1611 to KJ 2025. I hope people are enjoying that. Comparing the words and the changes. The scholar changes that say that they're just doing the New Testament. I'm not doing the Old Testament right now. Focus on New Testament. That's a big enough project as it is. So enjoying that. But when we have all these conversations with everybody and putting them down for everything, you are literally tearing down Christians. Why? Should you not be trying to build them up, especially new ones, especially newbies, man? I mean, the ones that are green behind the ears. I won't say wet behind the ears, because somebody will get mad because they're like, are you saying wetbacks? No, I'm not saying wetback. But there's rookies out there, and there's people who've been in the league for a couple of years. I don't know why I'm using it that way, but a lot of guys get what I'm talking about. Those who are veterans and been there a while, a long time, they know what I'm talking about. And those who have been in there a few years, they get it. But we spend too much time, way too much time, tearing down others instead of lifting them up and building them up and helping one another along. And even if if that person doesn't like what you're saying, it's okay, man. Move on. You let it go. Like, maybe it'll sink in. Maybe they'll, see it your way one day. Maybe they won't, but move on. Because I guarantee you one thing: if you keep on arguing with somebody, trying to push and push and push and push, you're literally going to push that person away from the point you're trying to make. A wall just goes up. They're like, "Yeah, I'm cool. I'm done. I don't want to hear a thing you're saying. I want to learn Arabic and Latin." All right. Strangely, I have no desire for Latin. Not because I'm anti-Catholic. I'm just, I mean, there's different Latins too. There's ecclesiastical Latin, antiquity Latin, classical Latin, of course, vulgar Latin. Arabic, I know nothing about the different levels of Arabic. But Latin is funny because what they did, I decided to reverse engineer. I think it was Genesis 3:15, not 3:16. Revelations Genesis 3:15. I reverse engineered the Douay-Rheims Latin, and it actually and back through and into Greek, and it actually matched up with the King James Bible and not the Douay-Rheims, which I thought was really, really interesting. I haven't done any more research after that. It's just one of those fun things I decided to check one day. I was curious because if you read Genesis 3:15, that talks about Eve, talks about the heel of the foot, and it said, but in the Douay-Rheims it says she will crush the snake instead of the offspring. So, but the KJV says it opposite. Let's go Genesis 3:15. I feel like I'm butchering this the verse. I don't want to butcher the verse here. Hold on here. Let's get to Genesis 3:15. 3:15. Good. Well, I'm glad it's not 3:15 in the morning. That's for sure. Didn't have it. 3:15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And I don't have my compact Douay-Rheims over here. I have my Westcott and Hort. Hey, let's look Westcott and Hort. Let's check them out for a second. Let's go with three. Let's look at the the revised 1881, the revised version. Just so you see them, revised version. 1981, so you see I'm not making that up. Not that I would. What would be the point? Oh, this is the New Testament. What am I doing? It's not going to have Genesis 3:15. Why am I was thinking of Septuagint. That's what I was looking for, but I don't have that. That's back there, so I apologize. But if you look it up, and you'll see it says an opposite. It will say that when it says it's she shall bruise thy head, and, which is not what it says at all. But let me pull this back up. Jerome's Vulgate changed Genesis 3:15. If I remember right, the Hebrew text says he. It is in the KJV, and yes, it is in the KJV. I can get a whole big thing about the Vulgate and silliness, but remember, he had to use other translations. He had to work it through. It was an update of what is that called? It was Latin something. It wasn't even enough to even make a Bible. It was a small. I can't remember what it's called. I apologize at the top of my head. I don't have it off the top of my head. But yeah, so he had to work it through a different way and try to get it to work out for the Catholic Church and the Roman Catholic Church, of course. But won't get into that. It's kind of like the whole deal of Vaticanus and Sinaiticus and the falseness behind that whole thing, and looking at Eusebius and Origen and coming out of that area in a time frame and location, and what do you got, Tischendorf, and I mean you got Tischendorf, which really leads to Westcott and Hort because they take part of that and smash it all together, and they don't even match Vaticanus and Sinaiticus. There's an online. They have a website online. I don't remember what it's called. Could be called Vaticanus.com. I have no idea. But too many red flags on that one. Even if I wasn't a born again Christian, I would look at that and say, yeah, it's a red flag. I've always been one who likes to look at things and research them to its full degree, or the origins of. It's funny that Jerome denied the Apocrypha and the Catholics believed in the Apocrypha. Apocrypha was really just they shoved the Apocrypha in. That was a forced go-to on that one. Jews don't even accept that. Not that we're Jews. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not into replacement theology either. There are guys out there who are. I'm not. I take a different look at it. I also don't agree that all the Jews that are supposed to be in the land are even there either. So it's a whole funny thing. And I'll probably get in trouble for this. The whole Star of David, that's not actually the origin of the star, but I don't want to go down that. I don't want to get mad. We're not doing, this is supposed to be a nice, somewhat decent level of fellowship without getting too crazy and deep and go overboard without my notes in front of me. Because sometimes I don't remember the exact year or something, so I got to write it down. I can't like Council of Nicaea is 325, but I can't remember every council. The 381 was another one, and things of that nature. I can't recall all the years. Something had 450, I think, too. That's a number for some odd reason. But but when we're having our conversations, and even if I disagreed with Bryson here, doesn't mean I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying I disagree. I'm not going to sit here and delete him or ban him off my chat because we don't see eye to eye right now. Blah blah blah. You don't win your brother back that way. That's for sure. And that's a huge. I find that to be in the younger generation mostly. I mean, it happens with the older generation as well, but I think mostly anyone under 40. I'm not saying that because I'm over 40. I'm over 50, but it just seems to me that that's what happens. And yeah, on the post-trib, pre-trib, sometimes that is it can be what do you call it, a deal breaker. You don't want it to be a deal breaker because you still want to have a civil conversation with someone and get there. But I find more often than not all the time, but more often than not, post-trib and pre-tribbers, everything else kind of falls in line, not on the same page. They're separate. I don't know why that is. I don't know why. I don't have the stats in front of me. Usually I love to be a statistical guy. If you follow the videos I have been making comparing 1611, I shouldn't say comparing, but seeing the 1611 to 2025 King James Bible, what are the actual changes? I do put in the numbers, whether 1.9% or 00 or what was it, 0.007% readability issue and things like that. I think those numbers are kind of important, especially when scholars tell you everybody's too stupid to read a King James. And I just went down a different path because I just forgot what I was going to say. See, sometimes I go a little off the topic or off the stray there for a moment. And there are, by the way, there are other scriptures that talk basically line up with talking about, not saying season with salt, but talk about the same thing about your speech, about how we address others and talk to one another. There's a lot of people just, as my wife said a long time ago, and I've stolen the phrase. Well, I don't think it's stolen. We're married, so I guess everything's 50-50. Is that how it works? She had said to me a long time ago, people treat the Bible like a buffet table. They just take what they want and leave what they don't. And that's exactly what I see today. I see more of it today than I've ever seen it before. If it doesn't fit their lifestyle, and when I say lifestyle, I don't mean homosexuality. I meant their lifestyle in the way they want to believe. If it doesn't fit in, they either leave it out or try to fit it in some way. The KJV is the perfect word of God. It is strange how these scholars, thank you for putting the quotation marks, understand. I love quotation marks. Ancient Hebrew, Syriac, and Greek, but not Old English spellings in the 1611 KJV. Yeah, so I've been, amen, you're absolutely right. I've been using my 13-year-old and my 10-year-old. We have two older sons, but I use my 10-year-old and my 13-year-old specifically for the readability, and the words that are either misspelled or different, I have a column. On the left side, I have 1611. On the right side, 2025, and I have them read it to see what it is. And obviously, my 93-year-old, my 13-year-old gets a higher grade. He's usually in the 90s. He's hitting 98, 96. One of them he had 92%. My 10-year-old was at 77%, 83%, 81%, I think, readability, the ability to read it. So now he's a 25 years, 2025. He's 10 years old, and he can figure it out. That's why I think this nonsense of adults can't figure it out. I'm not saying if you're in India or Pakistan or China or Turkey, they can do it. I know that it'd be a little hard at first, but we have a lot of hard words. There are words we look up every day. I could probably open up an NKJV and just skim through and not know a word. It's possible. It's definitely possible. So we look it up. I don't understand this concept of not looking things up. And sometimes you actually get the gist of a word by the context of which it's in. Maybe not all the time, but more often than not, that's one of my favorite sayings, by the way, more often than not, you do. You'll see it. You'll find it. And you'll read it in context and you'll understand. I guess, yeah, maybe my 10-year-old and 13-year-old are a little different because they already read the King James Bible, so they kind of know what something, when they see it, they know what the word's supposed to be. So maybe there's a leg up. But even then, that still tells me a 10-year-old, 13-year-old, if they can read a 1611, which means they can read a modern King James, why can't you? So this pastor that I'm talking about, he was online. He was, I don't know who it was an interview or something like that. I think the guy's name is Dollar. Jeff Dollar, Gary Dollar, Jerome Dollar, Jerry Dollar, something like that. And he said he doesn't have time to stop in the middle of sermon to try to explain a word. Well, then you should not be, never mind the fact whether there should be pulpits or not pulpits, or church building or not church building. Just take that out for 1 second. You should not be doing this at all, because if you can't take that moment, 10 seconds, explain a word. If I explain a word to my kids, they're going to know. In fact, I think Alex was 10. He was 10. This is a few years ago. And I'm pretty sure I've told the story. Prof Gal can back me up on this. She'd know if I told the story before. It was the word smoke. So I said to him, Alex, what does smoke mean? He says to me, I have no idea, Dad. He does that. He's like, he's trying to come up with it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, all right, cool. So I read the verse, and he goes, oh, smoke means to cut somebody's ear or cut somebody, or hit somebody or cut off or cut. Kept on saying that, all that. I'm like, yeah, so you got that in context. Excellent. It's not that hard. Those are one of those words you can figure out. On the first page of King Lear, which I talked about the other day on the video there, on the first page of Act 1 of King Lear, I looked this up because I wanted to find a couple of words and see if they match up. And I found 3 actually, but they were deprived. I might actually. No, that's not it. I was hoping I still had the paper. I don't have the paper. But the one word was deprived, and the other one was chaffed or chafed. And in the I thought I had it for a second there. It had deprived at DEPRIV apostrophe D. Well, clearly that's not how we spell deprived. So we should probably get rid of Shakespeare altogether. Too archaic. No one's going to understand that. And chaffed was the same thing. It was CHAF. Yeah, I don't think there was a second F. There was one F and an apostrophe and a D. It's not how we spell it. But when I looked at it, I saw deprived. I knew what it was. Even with the apostrophe in there, I knew what the word was. Didn't need a dictionary. So it's those kind of foolishness that happens out there. And I think we like to dumb things down so much. That's why everybody's going to scholars, because we've taken away the ability to think outside the box or learn something new you've never learned before. You know, what's the favorite one people like to use now? I just heard this the other day on a guy's channel, which I had already read it. Account. That's what it was. It means account. Just a quick look up of the word. That's literally what it means. It's just a different spelling of it, but it means the same thing. It means account. Take account of. That's it. That's all there is to it. Not difficult. Not difficult at all. But what we don't want to do is, unlike the scholars who call everybody idiots because their speech is not seasoned with salt, we don't want to go around doing the same thing. Goes, hey, listen, moron, come on, you can't look it up. How stupid are you? We're not supposed to be doing that. There's no reason for us to do that. How is that not for? Excuse me. Sorry about that. Had to sneeze. We're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to be calling people names just because we think they should be able to figure it out. So just tell them, hey, it's an easy word. I'll just tell you what it is. Now you know it. Moving on. But no, we want to make a big show out of it and show how much smarter we are than the other person is and blah, 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 and just show how much knowledge we have. And I know this, I know that. Okay. Good. Now, use it for good and not being a bad person and not being a person who's kind of a jerk. I am now name calling and talking down to those people. Ain't it funny how sometimes your everyday, just run-of-the-mill Joe Schmo, born-again Christian, is a better person than scholars tend to be? Ain't that something? It's so weird. I'm not saying every scholar is a bad person. I'm just saying it just seems weird. When you watch these guys, they call themselves scholars, the Bart Ehrmans and the Dan Wallaces of the world, Mark Ward. There's another new kid now. What is his name? Wes Huff. And I'm like, what is going on, man? It's getting wild. People just can't pick up this Bible and read it. Just read it. You don't have to dissect it right now. You don't have to go, I wonder if the word, not Ezra. The children of Ater of Hezekiah 90 and 8. I wonder what that really means, children. Is there a connotation behind that? I wonder if Hebrew actually says children and maybe not child. I'm like, really? How about just read the Bible? We do this so often. We want to dissect right away. I'm like, you just started reading it and you want to dissect it. Well, read it and let it speak to you. You know, that's all you gotta do. And I think these folks, with their evil communications that proceed out of their mouth, really put down people and then make people question whether they know what they thought they knew and make them question everything. And they're just on this hamster wheel. And of course, the author of confusion is who? It ain't God. I'll tell you right now, it ain't God. But I will tell you, more often than not, people who run with the modern versions tend to live their lives on a hamster wheel and always mad. And people, well, no, I know King James people are mad too. Okay, you're going to bring up what? The same thing you always bring up? You got two things they bring up. Westboro Baptist and Peter Ruckman. That's it. That's all they do. Oh, look at that. Look at him. Look at him. Look at them. Okay. See, they're not able to judge individuals as individuals. We lump everybody into one category. My boss is not a Christian. My former boss, I say, he's definitely not. He's a professing Christian. He's an Oprah Winfrey, Joel Osteen Christian. There you go. But should I? And he's an ESV guy in a Baptist church, some mega Baptist church down here, part of the SBC, not a Southern Baptist, but he's a part of that. They're part of the Southern Baptist Convention. You know what I'm talking about. But should I say everybody who's reading ESV is an evil and bad person, or everybody's stupid, or everybody is a false Christian because of one person who's reading that book? I call that one's just a book. It's not even a real Bible as far as I'm concerned. There's a bumper sticker, or what do you want to call it, magnet on the back of my truck. If it ain't King James, it ain't the Bible. But I'm not going to judge everybody. I'm going to have a conversation with each person as a human being, as a person. Talk to them. Have a civil dialogue first. Ask them a couple of questions. See where we're at with that. People say, oh, so a debate. And no, I don't know what this whole... People are conflating two different things. They'll say, well, I'm just having a conversation. No, debate and a conversation are two different things. Please do not get them confused. We've talked about this. You look at the etymology and the origins of the word debate, and what does it mean? It means literally to beat down someone, to quarrel, to argue. Not to exhort, not to edify. That's not in the definition. I see we're closing in on an hour. I'm trying to do a better job of staying an hour. I mean, I'll stay a little bit longer, but I'm trying to do better at being at an hour. I can sometimes go a little over. But if we're going to walk away with anything tonight, it's just your speech. Season it, man. And again, I'm not saying you got to be a hippie around the fire. Why do I have a pop-up on my screen? Try vertical tabs for a streamlined view. No. And you don't have to send money to people. You don't see me hawking merchandise. Well, I do have 3 books. You can find them in the description on my page. I'm not here to hawk it, though. Or you could pay me on... Brother Jorge, where are you? What can everybody pay me on? What app should they download to support their wonderful and lovely pastor, preacher, teacher, whatever you want to call it? There you go. I'm such a wonderful pastor, teacher. You should donate to my channel using... Oh, wait. Brother Jorge, you're behind on me on this one. But there is an app. I love this app. I'm going to bring it up probably a lot. There's an app out there that you can pay pastors and preachers and stuff like that. There it is, Tidely. I love you, Brother Jorge. There it is, Tidely. Man, when we came across... I forgot who found that. I think it was you. I think you found that. Did I find that or you found that? We came across that. I forget. I might have. I'm not sure. But you can donate now on an app to your pastor or your preacher. Just kidding. You'll never see Tidely on my channel. That's not going to happen. I did have Give, Send, Go. Brother Jorge will remember. I had it. You found it. Okay. All right. I found it. All right. I don't know. Where did I come across it? That's odd. I don't know where I would have found that. That's bizarre. But I did have a Give, Send, Go a long time ago and had it for like 5 seconds. I felt guilty to even have one. Someone was nice enough and donated $50, and that went straight towards what I said it would, gospel tracts. And that one did not go towards Bibles. That one went to gospel tracts and a bunch of John and Romans, little booklets that you hand out to people. So that's where that money went. I think I bought a couple of packs of the of gospel tracts, and I think the rest went to the John of Romans. Pretty sure. Or it could have been all right towards the John of Romans. I forget. But then I got rid of it because I just felt guilty asking anyway for money, because man should work for a living. We really shouldn't be paying any pastor or preacher or anything like that. We just shouldn't. There was a day way back in the day that they were bivocational. They had a job and they showed up on Sundays to do a sermon. Some had Sundays and Wednesdays. Not all churches had Wednesdays, though. That's another thing. That's a newer invention. So that wasn't always there, but you had the Saturday people and you had Sunday people. And that was mixed, by the way. It wasn't always JWs. I did a little digging on that. Not all JWs were the only ones doing Saturday Sabbath. I mean, there were different folks in Christianity doing Saturdays, but then it just became all Sunday. They all just went over to Sunday, and then JWs do Saturday. And then Mass is for everybody. So if you felt like you got too drunk and you committed too many crimes, you can go down and confess your sins. So I'm from up in the Northeast, which, by the way, I used to think Catholic Church or the Catholics were from the North and Baptists were from the South. Those are like the two big names. Yeah, you got Pentecostals, but that was always the big thing. And the joke we used to make all the time is up north, where I'm from, there's always three things on every corner: a bar, an ATM or a bank, and a Catholic church. I always used to say, well, you go get money out of the ATM, you go get drunk, you commit sins, you go out of confession, you're all set, you're good to go. You go right back out over to the bank, you get more money, and go commit more sins, and then go back to confession, go back. It's like a cycle. But Catholics weren't always up north, and that's an interesting thing there. Hold on here. I think Puritans do Saturday instead of Sunday, if I am not mistaken. You could be right. I don't remember who it was. Puritans, it might have been the Plymouth Brethren as well. I think they might have done it too. I'm not 100% sure. I did research on this a long time ago. I'd have to see if I have the old notebooks at all in the file cabinet. I don't remember. But I know it's things. Just like, I'll get in trouble for this too. I love getting in trouble. Like Christmas was not a thing either. This whole Christmas celebration before 1860s, that was not a thing. That was not a thing in this country. I mean, yeah, I know everybody says it's Christian liberty. And actually, that's one of the topics I bring up in one of the book I wrote, excuse me, The Truth About Christian Liberty. I bring that up along with other things. But that wasn't even a thing. That was not even in America. I mean, people here in America at that point in time would have been before the 1850s. And you might have had a few people here and there talking about it, but they were like, what are you doing? What are you celebrating? That is a Christmas that's a Catholic pagan holiday. They all knew it. It wasn't no big surprise. It was well known. Well, then I got brought over here into, oh, man. I want to say Philadelphia. I'm pretty sure it's Philadelphia. I'm not sure. The Germans brought that over. Some of the German migrants or German immigrants at that time frame brought some of that over, who were Lutherans, actually. So Lutheran is just another word for Catholic, but the Lutheran comes over, they come over. The Lutheran, like what's the Missouri Synod or Synod Lutheran? They connected to that. But yeah, that wasn't even a thing before 1860. Sunday school, same thing. Sunday school was not a thing as well. I mean, I make jokes about how Chinese food and Italian food in America is Americanized, and it actually won't taste like the actual Italian in Italy. And it's kind of like the same thing with these other things. It's not what you think it is. So, but there's plenty of evidence for that. And people go, oh, you're going to go with that whole Christmas tree. I don't go with that whole Christmas tree. A lot of people like to use the whole Jeremiah 10 thing. I just look at Jeremiah 9, 29 or 26. I forget what verse it is. It's the very last verse of Jeremiah 9. It goes into a lot of that. If you really dig into that deep, if you want to dig outside the Bible, actually, you don't have to go far outside the Bible at all for other historical reference points of what was going on at that time frame. You'll see that it's just messed up, evil stuff, man. The the way of the heathen. I tell you that. So I don't make the Jeremiah 10. Is it 10:14 or 10:4? Oh, now we're gonna look it up. Jeremiah 10. I could be wrong. If someone beats me to it, go ahead and post it up there. Jeremiah. I'm pretty sure it's Jeremiah 10. But could I be wrong? Absolutely, because nobody's perfect. Jeremiah 10. I might be wrong. Jeremiah 10. Yeah, it's not Jeremiah 10:14, is it? I forget where. But it's talking about Jeremiah 9:26 is what it was. I was right on the first one. Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that are in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness. For all these nations are uncircumcised, and all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart. As we know, in the old days, they didn't have the break in the chapters. Chapters were added after the fact. So, but, and there you have that. That just takes off from there, and you can look up that one. Click on this. I celebrate Christmas as a special day for the Lord, not as the pagan Santa Claus stuff. I also celebrate Thanksgiving. We do not celebrate Christmas at all. I did a number of videos on the whole Christmas. I think I took a different approach to it. I just looked at the actual context of it and the origins of things. And we celebrate Christmas, but in a different way. There is no Christmas for us. We do have what's called we have an annual family day where we spend time together. We didn't have the cookout this year because, well, it poured rain all day. But we exchanged a few gifts. The last week in September is if you want to celebrate the birth of Christ, that would be it, the end of September. There's enough evidence that points to that. Both biblically and secularly, believe it or not, can point to as well. So that's when we celebrate it, because that's where it's supposed to be. Christmas is really not a thing. Remember, that was agreed on, that holiday or that particular day was agreed on by a bishop named Matthew or Mark, interestingly enough, with Constantine. He came to Constantine and he said, hey, listen, well, this is the day we should just all come together on. And that's what they came together on and decided then. But there was no set before that. There was no set date. The birth of Christ was celebrated in May. It was celebrated in January. I think June might have been another one that they celebrated at one point in time, because no one could figure out when he was born, because there's no evidence and was no proof of that he was born in the time, especially in December. That's just not factual. We try to keep things as factual as possible, and that's why we celebrate when it is. I mean, here's where I'll probably go on the left field for some people is celebrating the birth of Christ. I guess you can, as the birth of Jesus in the manifested form, of human form, is you can do at the end of September, but he always was. Remember that Jesus always was. So he was manifested, but I'd make the argument he was manifested. God was manifested in the flesh as Jesus, not born, because he always was. Remember the conversation? I knew Abraham. I was Melchizedek. You go all the way back. He was always. Why? God and Jesus is one. But he was never born, so to speak, but he was manifested, even though he came from the womb of a virgin at that time, until she had her other kids, obviously. I see Christmas as the Gentile equivalent to the Feast of the Dedication, Thanksgiving equivalent to Purim, and a Pravgal. No, she's good at it. She knows a lot of that stuff. And Jesus was born in September, not December. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I said September, at the end of September. That's why we acknowledge his human birth, or his human form, the manifestation. God manifest in the flesh at the end of September, not December. That's, you know, um, we're not supposed to do what the others do. Whereas, it's kind of like Halloween. There are people, well, I spend time out there on Halloween handing out gospel tracts. We're supposed to be, as you're looking at the Chuckies and the horror people and stuff like that, where I would say abstain. You did say, I'm just, okay, I'm sorry about that. I thought maybe I misspoke. That's why I was like, I thought I said, all right, cool. I could have misspoke. That's why, just making sure. It's the way I thought I said. We're supposed to be abstaining from any form looking at these things and visualizing. We're not supposed to have any part of it. And the Christmas thing. So I'm putting together a book on that one. I probably, when I'm all said and done, I'd probably have 1,000 pages, but I'm not going to write 1,000-page book. But trying to simplify and put it in the most simplistic form. You got to remember, they didn't celebrate Christmas, Paul, and then they weren't celebrating Christmas. They weren't celebrating his birth. They obviously cared more about his resurrection, which is more important. Why did there's more emphasis and time dating on that than there is on birth? Now you can figure out the birth by just understanding the seasons out there at that time, in that time frame, what was going on. If you look at the census date of King Herod, if you actually look at history and you look at that, you pretty much can figure out. Or what, I forget what they were picking in, not the sheep, but when they were picking fruit, is either dates. I can't remember what the dates or figs, and there's a certain time frame for that. I could be wrong on the dates and figs. Please don't quote me on that. But just putting all those together, understanding the calendar aspect of it. And that's why I say, if it's so difficult for so many years and all this investigation to figure out his birth, and that is because he's always been. He wasn't just created by a man and woman inside of a womb like we would have children today. God. And that's, I think, important to understand. Jesus always was in different forms. He always was. The last form before he was crucified was what? Jesus. God was Jesus. God was manifested in flesh. I'm trying not to misspeak here because I don't want anybody to take my words out of context and like you said, and I don't want to. So that's why at the end of September is the actual time, and that's why we acknowledge at that point in time. That's what we do. We don't get involved with all that other stuff. We don't too much evidence for a lot of stuff. It isn't just your simple paganist background too. I mean, it goes really back. I mean, you look at the Akkadian Empire, you look at Babylonian, Assyria, you look at all that. Asia Minor and so forth, and there you go. The Alpha and the Omega. Amen. He is the beginning and end. So I was putting it together, a small study on that at one point about, I think it'll blow too many people's minds, the fact that they're going to get mad at me and start saying, oh, you're a heretic. That's heresy. I'm like, how's that heresy to say Jesus always was? He's always been in different forms. Again, Melchizedek, who was talking to Abraham? You go all through that. Who do you think that was? It wasn't Bobby. I don't know who Bobby is. I'm just giving out a name there, So I think those things take into consideration. Now, I think people misunderstand me. I don't go around hating people because they have not stopped Christmas yet. I was mad at myself for continuing to be in it when I knew it was wrong. When I finally realized it years ago, and I kept on being part of it. It's almost because hey, just want to appease everybody, keep the peace. But when you compromise, sometimes compromising means you're compromising and you're sinning against God. That's, for me, that's how I felt, and got to that point where no, we can't do this anymore. And by the way, if you think your kids are going to miss Christmas, if you have any, I don't mean just you, Bryson. I mean anyone in general. No, kids don't miss stuff like that. You think they will, but you won't. My kids aren't blinded by TV. It's not like they see some new toy on cable all the time. We don't have cable. They don't get to watch YouTube all day long. They get 1 hour of Wii a week. It's like prison. They get 1 hour of yard time. You get to go out in the yard 1 hour a day, get some sunshine. No, 1 hour a week, they get an hour of Wii. We don't have PlayStation. We don't have Xbox. We don't have. I do not know what other systems are. Xbox and PlayStation, right? I think those are the only two I can think of. But they have Wii in it. But it's not. It's like they have a hunting game. They have a hunting game for fishing and stuff, and one with like basketball on it and stuff like that. Innocent stuff like that. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that. If we calculated Jesus was born in Ethnium, Jewish 7th month around September, October, I think Christians should celebrate Passover for the Lord's Supper. I'm in on the Passover. We don't celebrate Easter, obviously, like others do, or Ishtar, or however you want to say. Big controversy on that too. That in Tyndale it doesn't, or it wasn't. It was only in Tyndale that he used Pascha, or what was it? I can't remember. I have too many facts in my brain that roll around up there. Sometimes I get them confused. But yeah, so that's why we actually chose at the end of September. When you break it down, we thought that was fine enough. So we do that. So, but yeah, so they don't need newest toys. They've never thought about it. In fact, they know and people say, I can't believe you brainwashed your children. They can't stomach it when they see Santa Claus is on people's front lawn. They look at it like how evil it is, and stuff like that. I mean, it's amazing. It's reason for the season. By the way, Jesus is the reason for all seasons. Every day, all seasons. It's not just that season. It's kind of like that bumper sticker that says, not today, Satan. I used to joke. I'm like, oh, he's got a day? You're going to give him a day? Should be not any day, Satan, but not today, Satan. And I get behind it. I understand it. Like, no, I'm not going to let spirits give me today. I get what's behind it. But at the end of the day, it should be no day. It's almost like you leave a loophole. Well, you said not today, so I'll be back tomorrow. Again, I think we get brainwashed by things. We get indoctrinated by not only television and movies and commercials, but church buildings that walked away from all this. Remember, this didn't happen. This was not there. It's in the Tyndale. It's the name of Passover before Tyndale. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. I couldn't remember if it was in Tyndale. My brain kept on thinking Tyndale, but I'm like, well, it's not in the cover deal. It's not in the Geneva. I'm like, it's not that. It's not. I'm trying to think, was it Wessex Gospels? I'm like, nope, it's not Wessex Gospels either. I'm trying to think of where it was. So thank you on that. Yeah, I wouldn't worry. We don't get involved with that. It doesn't behoove anyone to be involved with it. It's not biblical. We try to keep things completely straight to the Bible as we possibly can. We make mistakes. Everybody does. You can see something you didn't see before. We pretty much read every day. So sometimes you might be, the last time you were in Matthew, you may not have seen something you saw this time in Matthew. I always find it interesting as a word or a phrase somehow I missed before and I didn't notice it. I'm like, how did I not see that? And that's the beauty of reading. But then we get too wrapped up in our lexicons. Hey, I'm guilty. I got them back there. I got both. Yeah, I got an old Hebrew lexicon. No, I don't speak Hebrew. I get an old Greek lexicon. Yeah, I don't know all the Greek in there either. I can count from 0 to 10, and I know some of the alphabet in Greek, and that's about it. But I enjoy doing it. Not because I think we need Greek and Hebrew and stand the Bible. I just like it. I just wanted to. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not sure that I'm blessed with diverse tongues. so I'm not sure I can speak every language. Some people were, and men back in those days they didn't have cable, television, internet, YouTube. They didn't have all that. The only thing they could do was learn. How about that, huh? I think the scholars, or I should say, the scholars of today I don't think are anywhere near scholarly as good as scholars back then. I'll even say, as much as the evilness I think of Westcott and Hort, I'd say they're better scholars than scholars we have now, and they were not good at all. This is off topic, but I recently learned that the Hebrew name of the book of Psalms means hymnal. You could be right. I don't know. In fact, I think I had, you know what's weird? I think I had a book that was called Psalms, and it was music in it. So, well, Psalms are songs, but it could be right. Could be the Hebrew word. I don't know. I would have to check my Hebrew lexicon to make sure. That was just a joke. I don't know, to be honest with you. I wish I knew. I don't. I'll have to look it up. It's something I'll look up at some point. Make a note of that. I'll write that down. Hebrew Psalms hymnal. I'm going to look that up after. I'm curious. I don't know. Look at that. I don't know something. And that's something that we have, and that's another thing Christians today have a hard time doing, is admitting that they didn't know something. I didn't know that. I don't pretend like, I think you're right. I may have seen that. No, I don't know. I don't know, and I'll look it up. But where did we start out on this? We're almost an hour and a half in. What were we talking about way back? Season and salt, huh? But and by the way, I'm in disagreement a little bit here with Bryson Bishop here on recognizing Christmas, but we can have a civil dialogue, and I'm not sitting here going, oh, Bryson, you're an idiot. And maybe Bryson is on the other hand going, oh, this guy's an idiot. But again, that's the problem. We're not having a conversation. I guarantee you there's something I know that he doesn't know. And I guarantee you there's something he knows that I don't know. And I don't even know. But there's no shame in that. We all have something and know something. And we're not going to be upset. And I'm not going to be anyways. We're not going to be upset and angry thinking that the other one is trying to be smarter than the other person. Clearly, he's got a hold of some good stuff here. He's no dummy. He's no slouch, as they say. So, a lot of anger. I'm not what's his name? Peter Ruckman. I don't know. Sometimes I forget his name. I don't know why. The interesting thing about him is I am glad. And so I guess that's another thing. Everybody who's a King James onlyist, which I didn't even know was a thing till years ago. I became a King James onlyist before I actually knew what a King James onlyist was. I never heard of Peter Ruckman, never heard of Gail Riplinger, never heard of Sam Gipp, never heard of D.A. White, or Waite. I think, is it White or Waite? I think it's Waite. Excuse me. I've never heard of the Dean Burgeon Society. Never heard of any of these people. None of them. Not a single one of them. So there was no trying to convince me or tell me or trying to convince me that I should be a King James onlyist. The way I became a King James onlyist is by reading the King James Bible. And again, didn't even know what a King James onlyist was. Didn't know these people. So now I would, being a King James onlyist, I'm going to pull your comment up in a second. I would be considered, I guess what they do now is anybody, because there's Texas Receptus people, there's TR people supposedly that don't want to be King James onlyists, but some don't mind because they use King James. Some King James onlyists are fine with the TR, but some of them I don't need the Texas Receptus. But everybody gets lumped in this weird thing. And I'm like, it's bizarre to me. And they'll say, oh, that's because you read Ruckman, you read Gipp, You read Ripplinger. I've never read Gip. I've never read Ripplinger. I do have a Ripplinger book that my brother had sent me, I think, a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. I still have never read it. I mean, I'll read it. I'll eventually get around to it. And I've recently read, some Ruckman stuff, but I've never read Ruckman before. All right, I'm gonna pull this up now. I wasn't ignoring you. I know simple basics of Hebrew, Syriac, and Greek. That's awesome. I know how to say hi. My name is Bryson. That's awesome. And that's it. I don't think you are an idiot. I see you as a wise man who disagrees with me and stuff. Well, I don't know that I'm all that wise, that's for sure. But yeah, I know. I could say my name in French, which is je m'appelle Etienne. I think it's je m'appelle Etienne. I think that's, I think my name in Spanish, Jorge might be able to back me up, is Esteban Leblanc, Esteban Quijemo, Esteban Quijemo. I think that's my name there. And like I said, with the Greek numbers, I know what Midian is 0, I think. Ania. Oh goodness, I can't even remember now. I could be wrong. Ania, what is 2? 2 is is it Theo? Rhea, Sarah, Pendi, Exi. What is 7? I can't remember 7 now. But then after 7 is Octo. 9, I can't remember. Oh, Inia, because Inia is 9. I think Ina is 1. So, but it's fun to learn, isn't it? And you don't have to learn it because you're trying to translate the Bible. I have to know Greek and Hebrew. I'm like, I think that's silliness. I think it's cool to learn it. I think it's neat. I think it's interesting. You forgot to study your numbers this week. Yeah, I did. I think ABC is what I can't remember. I don't even know my ABCs. What's alpha? I think the third letter in Greek is theta, because the D is pronounced TH. But I don't know much either. But again, I think it's neat. It's fun to learn a few things. I can do 1 to 10 in French. I can do 1 to 10 in Spanish. I can do a little bit in Italian. My wife always says to me, "Stuchigi." It means to. It's a rude way of saying shut up, but she fools around. I always say Studebaker, but knowing different things doesn't mean you're trying to be arrogant and you're trying to learn a language, read the Bible. You're gonna hear that, but I'm like, no. I mean, if I read a word somewhere in Greek, I might go, hey, I know that word in the Bible. But that's not why I learn it. I just want to. And you're trying to do Bryson, Hebrew, Syriac. Syriac, I've never looked into it. I don't have a lot of interest in Hebrew at all. Not because I don't think it's cool. We all like, for some reason, different languages speak to us that we like to learn. I used to know a little sign language. Back in the day, not a lot, but could barely remember anything. My name is, my name is, or something like that. I forget how it goes. It's been a long time since I've had to do sign language, but it's just fun. But at the end of the day, in all honesty, we do not have to know Greek. We do not have to know Hebrew or Syriac to know that we have the perfect word of God. I'm sorry, I disagree. Even if you look at the Texas Receptus, actually, I think it's in the house. The Texas Receptus, we don't have to know that either. It's neat to know. I think it's fun, but I keep saying over and over again, but nothing wrong with it. And yes, we might have a slight disagreement on a couple of things there, I guess, but we can have a civil dialogue and a conversation without jumping off the uh, off the as I say off the roof. I don't want to say that because then somebody's like, "Hey, you're promoting suicide." I'm like, "No, it's just a saying," which is interesting. The word suicide. I remember when I was a kid, when I played basketball, they called it suicides when you ran to the other side, back and forth. I don't know if anybody's heard this. I think they did in football as well. I wasn't big into football. I was a shooting guard, so that's why I know it from basketball, and I coached for a little while as well. But then they started banning. I had my at a school that I was a coach at. The principal came up. Was it the principal school, or it could have been? It was either at the school or a rec. I was also because I was president of the youth basketball association for like a hot second, and just 1 year. But then they're like, "Oh, you can't say that." Sorry. I just saw this. I was looking at the other one. I was going to look up Daniel 2:4 for a second. I freak some people out because I believe that God predestinated KJV in the English language. Yeah, I don't know an argument with that. I mean, we're not using the term in a Calvinistic form, where you'd be using it in a different form, as far as I can see. Yeah, it's interesting to say it that way. I actually never thought of that, saying it that way before. Never dawned on me to say, well, Daniel 2:4. Let's just go to Daniel 2:4 for a second. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac. I'm sorry. That's Syriack. I don't understand what that means. Okay, that was a joke. Obviously, we understand what that means. It's Syriac. Brother Jorge, it is crazy how so many people around the world. Yeah, so maybe it was you and somebody else I was talking to briefly about that, Brother Jorge. And that's why you could take this comment here and almost run with it, because the one language people seem to learn and understand more than any other seems to be English, which is bizarre to me. It's cool. I speak English, so it works for me, doesn't it? But that's fascinating. I think the second, and I could be wrong. Well, if you go by population, I think Cantonese or Mandarin is the other one. I got to sneeze first. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze. I think Mandarin or Cantonese, but I think that's because of the population of that area, such a large population. But I think Spanish is another one that's pretty predominant. I think that's probably why when I was a little younger, I wanted to learn Spanish. And if you're a kid, what do you learn? You learn Spanish bad words. That's what everybody does. But I was joking at a place because I worked in an inner city school system where I coached basketball, and the security guard there was I don't think it was like that when I was a kid growing up, but now it seems to me a lot speak now. I'm assuming you mean English. I don't know, but the security guard Angel, and if anybody's Puerto Rican, don't get mad at me, but you're gonna know an Angel along the way in Spanish. I'm just saying, Jesus and Angel, Jose. I'm not making fun of him, but one of my good friends when I was a kid at elementary school, I grew up in the city, so his name was Jose. That was a good friend of mine. Another friend of mine growing up was Tito. That was his name. You don't see Tito anymore. That's a name you don't see anymore. Rashid. I used to have a friend named Rashid. He went back to the motherland, and I don't know if this story is true, but somebody had told me that he became a suicide bomber. I don't know whether that's true or not, but that would be a shame if that's true. It's funny. His dad was like 150 years old and still having kids. He wasn't 150. He just looked like he was 150. But yeah, Spanish is spoken a lot. And I was talking to the security guard, Angel, and I says, Angel, we need to come up with a Puerto Rican software. And he goes, what do you mean? I says, well, because we have Spanish classes, right? It's Spanish. Even though if you're Puerto Rican and Spanish, you can understand each other. You can get it. But Puerto Rican is not the same as Spanish, because a lot of people, when you learn Spanish in school, you're learning a proper Spanish. You're not speaking Puerto Rican. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know. In Spanish would be the same Puerto Rican. You're not saying, "Hey, mira que pasa?" What's it? Ven aquí por favor, which means look. Well, mira means look, come here. Why am I saying what it means? Brother Jorge, you know what it would mean. Look, come here, please. You know, but Puerto Rican's a little different dialect of Spanish. And I was telling a teacher one time, I says, "Hey, why don't you stop teaching Spanish and start teaching Puerto?" And she thought that was offensive. And this is before the whole woke thing was a thing, but a lot of teachers have been woke for a long time. But I was like, well, it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, you're communicating in a language that some Puerto Rican won't understand. They'll kind of get the gist of what you're saying. Don't leave me out here, brother Jorge, drowning on this. But yeah, they understand it. They can get it. So Puerto Rican to a Spanish person would be kind of like broken English, and it's like the reversal. So Spanish guys listen to a Puerto Rican going, I kind of know what you're saying. It's like Spanish and Italian. There's similar words. You know what I mean? Silencio is a very close, which means just silence or be quiet. But in Italian, it means pretty much the same verbiage. I think the number 8 is like ocho, same thing. Nueve. So it's interesting. Languages are phenomenal. I think languages are very a fun thing, an interesting thing to learn about the dialects and how they come about, and even look at the etymology and the origins of the words and how they come out. Well, we all know where they come from. Like Russia, we know isn't always been Russia. We can go back to why do you think there were so many so much there was a lot of gospel brought to Russia before it was Russia, because it was coming down from Turkey. You got to remember with the Siths and stuff like that and moving up that way. But anyway, that's a whole different history language. But it is also similar with English, Dutch, and German. What is similar to English, Dutch, and German? Are you talking about Italian or certain words? I understand Puerto Rican perfectly. It's just the accent is very unique to me, and they use some different words, but still understand them. But yeah, so I mean, if I was to hear a Spanish person say the same thing as a Puerto Rican, now I don't think I could just similar words. I got you. I could probably understand a Spanish person and a Puerto Rican person. I could get what they're saying. I mean, I grew up just outside the projects in Fitchburg. So I picked up on that, and also working in the inner city with a lot of Puerto Ricans, or I'm supposed to say Hispanics. Tell Hispanics that back when I was growing up, they laughed at you. But yeah, so you pick up a little bit of that, so you're able to kind of understand a piece here, a piece there. You can kind of get a feeling for what they're saying. I probably could pick it up a little bit again, being around it for so long. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm getting older, so my brain power don't work like it used to. But yeah, I mean, and I think but this is where it becomes a problem, because people start to think about the languages and the variances and the differences, and they start to concern themselves with the dialect and linguistics, and they want to start using all that to try to change this. And you already have the perfect word of God, and now you're using linguistics to try to change something that's already perfect. So you got a couple of different spelling words. And like I'm going to prove in the series, in my opinion, yeah, you'll have a couple of changes, but not to the changes the scholars will say in the New Testament. I haven't touched the Old Testament yet. I'm just doing the New Testament. So they make you believe that you need to learn all these things in different languages. While, like what he said earlier about Dutch and English, and where was it? Yeah, English, Dutch, and German. Okay. They're like, well, how could you possibly know the German Bible that Lutheran wrote without knowing German? Because I don't need to know German. A German needs to know German. I don't need to know German. And I'd be careful about the different translations, because I don't think they're all perfect. Like the 2 Spanish Bibles, I'm just learning from my good brother here about the difference in the Spanish Bible versions, and I was unaware of. I didn't know that, but Yeah, because they're using, depends on what they use. Are they using the RSV, the ESV, and or are they using the King James? The old-fashioned Alexandrian chart and the Antioch chart. I think pretty much everybody knows this at this point in time that are saved. They know that there's a chart. Well, you would think they do, but there's some people who don't and been Christians for years, which really kind of surprises me a little bit sometimes. I'm not being high-minded or thinking lowly of people. Sometimes I wonder how certain people don't know something that I've been a Christian for 45 years. Where'd your Bible come from? I don't know. What? I'm all out of water. That means I'm gonna have to slow down the show. When I'm running out of water, I'm not gonna make it anymore. So, yeah, linguistics. I guess no one will know if you're seasoning your speech with salt if you're speaking different languages and they don't know what you're saying. So I guess you can get away with talking down somebody with a smile in a different language. They wouldn't know. But the English is spoken everywhere. Unless you're going to one of those islands where one of those folks are still throwing the spears up at helicopters or something. Unless you're going there, pretty much English is all over the place. I had an argument with my brother when he was talking about the gospel. It says it has to reach the far ends of the earth, and he said they did that in Paul's day. They'd reached them. Like, well, the far ends were a lot different. I forget which what the quote he was saying, but I'm like, the far end was a lot different than now. Remember, the Near East, we think of the East as what we think of the East. We think of China. The Near East was not China to them back then. The ends of the world or the ends of the earth to them was a lot closer than it is to us now. So it's far and wide. We're still spreading it, but we'll spread as far as we can. All right, so we're about an hour and 41 minutes in, and it's not that I don't want to talk to anybody, but I want to be kind to folks. And roughly 2 hours in, we are missing a couple people this evening, and we'll pray for them, hoping that they're doing well and doing okay. They're probably fine. They got things to do. I'm not a pastor or a preacher or a teacher, so I don't demand people to show up on my channel, or I'll be offended and my feelings will get hurt. I'll just block you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I shouldn't say that because people do get blocked a lot out there. I'm gonna say this forever. If you're dealing with true born again Christians and they're deleting you and blocking you out there, I would question them, unless they've done something quite heinous and using foul language and stuff like that. Yeah, or being that much of a disruption, I could see it. But man, people have a slight disagreement, and it's like that's it. So, what are you gonna do? There is an old saying. What's the saying? You could please all the people. You can't please all the people all the time, or some of the time. I don't know. I butchered that whole statement, but that's okay. I'll live another day. Hey, Bryson. My glasses don't work that great. Bryson's great to see you. Don't know who you are, but it's good to see you. I hope you come back next week. Brother Jorge, as always, good to see you there. Pray for Brother Chris. He's not with us this evening. I hope he's all right. Actually, Brother Jorge, you know who Brother Chris is. Pray for him. He might have to go in for some surgery on his back. His back after yanking it and pulling it on the job there. It seems to have gotten worse. So I probably should have asked him first before I point that out, but we'll pray for Chris. He's doing. A couple of sisters not with us tonight. One sometimes tunes in afterwards. I hope she's okay. Born Out of Season not here this evening. I'm wishing him well. I hope he's doing all right. Anywho, you got one last comment here. All right, before the window closed. I remember reading Asian Acts and thinking it was China and Japan. I forgot that Asia was two parts, minor Middle East and major China. True. True. All right. Well, thank you for showing up. And as always, I appreciate who's going to watch it now and who watches it down the road. I say it all the time, and I absolutely mean it. I am grateful and I'm thankful. Appreciate it. And those of you, if I don't see you or talk to you during the week in any way, shape, or form, I hope to see you next week. And I'm going to awkwardly, as I always do, end the stream. God bless. Good night.